All right, welcome back to day 2 of section 10.1, and we're going to look at significance tests on two proportions. So, an observed difference between two sample portions can reflect an actual difference in the parameters, or it may just be due to chance, variation in random sampling, or random assignment. Significance tests help us decide which explanation makes more sense. So our null hypothesis, again, has to have some form of equality in it. So what we want to do is, again, our null hypothesis, we're trying to find the null hypothesis of the difference between those two proportions. And again, null hypothesis has to have some form of equality in it. And there'll be that hypothesized value over here. So what we're going to do is if we want to know that those two if we're going to compare those two population proportions, if there is no difference between population 1 and population 2, in other words, if they are the same, when I subtract that, the hypothesized difference is 0. So then our null hypothesis says that there is no difference between the two parameters. So this is how we will state that. Or if you do a little algebra, what you can do is you can add P2 to both sides, and you can maybe write a little more condensed like that the two population proportions are equal. Well, then the alternative hypotheses would either have a right-tailed test, a left-tailed test, or a two-tailed test. In our second box, for our conditions for inference, we still want to have randomness. We still want to make sure that we've got random samples or that the experiment has been randomized. We still have our 10% condition, except just make sure that we again show it for both, that 10 times our sample size is less than the population of the first, and 10 times our sample size of the second is less than or equal to the second population. And again, we still also have our large counts for normality, and making sure that all of our n times p's and n times q's are greater than or equal to 10, in other words, at least 10. So to do a test, this will be like in box 3. Our general statement is always our test statistic is our statistic minus our parameter divided by our standard deviation of the statistic. Well, our statistic is the difference in those two sample proportions. The parameter is the difference in the hypothesized population parameters. And as we spoke about this in our null hypothesis, we would have our P1 minus our P2 equaling 0. So we can just put 0 right there. And we'll divide by our standard deviation of the statistic. So, if our hypothesis is true, if our null hypothesis is true, the two parameters are the same. We call their common value P. We need a way to estimate P, so it makes sense to combine the data from the two samples. This pooled or combined sample proportion is the count of successes in both samples combined divided by the count of the individuals in both samples combined. Okay, this is if we're going to pool our data. Suppose the conditions are met to test this hypothesis, that there is no difference between the population parameters. We will first find the pooled proportion, p hat sub c, of successes in both samples combined, and then we'll compute the z statistic. So find the p-value by calculating the probability of getting a z statistic this large or larger in the direction specified for the alternative hypothesis. So in other words, this is a right-tailed test, a one-sided right-tailed test. This is a one-sided left-tailed test. and this would be a two-sided test. So many important statistical results come from randomized comparative experiments. Defining the parameters in experimental settings is more challenging. Most experiments on people use recruited volunteers as subjects. So then that would be important that we actually randomize it here, that we'd randomize the assignment of the treatments. So when subjects are not randomly selected, researchers cannot generalize the results of an experiment to some larger populations of interest. So again, the results we would get from something up here, we couldn't generalize to the population, but we could say something about the difference between those two samples. Researchers can draw cause and effect conclusions that apply to people like those who took part in the experiment. Unless the experimental units are randomly selected, we don't need to check the 10% condition when performing inference about an experiment. All right, so when we get into box 2, again, we don't need to check for independence when performing inference about an experiment unless the experimental units are randomly selected. So here's what we should be able to do. Should be able to describe the shape, look for normality, the center, which is just the difference in the population proportions, the spread, knowing that formula, and be able to determine the conditions that are met for doing inference, in other words, our sin. Construct and interpret a confidence interval. So again, we're looking for some lower bound to some upper bound. Or, as we just talked about in day 2 here, doing a significance test and looking for that area in the shaded region of our different tests. Like it was a left-sided test, our area that would be in there, looking for the p-value and compare that to our alpha. All right? Well, hopefully that gets you going. And you should be able to, at this point, do the highlighted area here. Problems numbers 13, 15, 17, 21, and 23. I wish you luck, and we'll see you in section 10.2.